let's look at two ways that dog ownership and dog culture promotes epilepsy. Okay, so right now we're looking at a study about traumatic brain injury and epilepsy. So, traumatic brain injury, getting your head hit or your head shifted back and forth on your body, can lead to epilepsy. Oh, in the summary of this study, I just wanted to show you this little part of it. But it says, let me highlight this in blue. Um, this is not yet translated into preventative treatments. So that's part of this conversation. It's better to be proactive instead of reactive. When you have a dog that is supposed to sense epilepsy and jump on top of you, and you fall on top of the dog if you're having a seizure, that is all a reactive thing, and it's not even necessarily a good treatment for epilepsy. The presence of the dogs also comes with lots of other risk hazards. So being proactive is more important. So we know that traumatic brain injury can be a big problem with epilepsy, and of course other things, migraines and stuff. But here is one way that we are setting people up to have epilepsy. This is a common thing that parents do, and they call it funny dog fails. Personally, I call this not funny parenting fails. You can see we have our little kid here got crammed into the ground. Now, if this was like your neighbor, and your neighbor came over and kicked your kid and your kid fell down, you'd call the police. If it was another kid, you would say that's a bully, and that kid would be in big trouble. But let's have a look at this. Okay, now your typical dog owner out there might say, well, that's not a big deal. The kid needs to learn how to walk a dog, and it's just an accident. Oh, the dad didn't know that was going to happen. Well, okay, keep that in mind as we watch this 40-second video. I don't know if you noticed that the leash that the dog was dragging clobbered that toy over there and moved it over about a foot or so. So that shows the force that's created, but even by this little dog. So the dog is out in the yard. They obviously have a fence. Why does he need to be having his kid hooked up to this dog leash, a retractable dog leash, where the dog can get full force running before the kid actually realizes the leash is being pulled? Let's have a look and see what the dad says.
Go get it. Told you that was going to happen.
So he scolds the kid, tells him to go get the leash, and then he says, I told you that was going to happen. So he knew that that was going to be a problem. So he set the kid up to fail, recorded it, and allowed his kid to be basically abused and neglected for the sake of dog ownership. And you could say, oh, this is just one little case. But if this is the way someone does this thing, that's going to be the way they do other things. And, what happens when the kid's head hits this concrete or this board or these steps? It's not something that you should chronically be subjecting your kid to. There's something to notice right here. The posture of the kid, it's kind of like the posture of people that are walking dogs. Your head is tilted forward. You really can't tell that much because the kid has a hoodie on. But with the head tilted forward, that means the arc that the head has to travel backwards is greater when that dog finally jerks him forward. And even if the head doesn't strike the ground full force, that neck jerk from his neck being forward of his body and then going all the way to the back and then getting shoved forward, that's also something that can cause traumatic brain injury. That's why, like, football players wear those things under their helmet to keep their neck from getting damaged when they get tackled by other football players. And those are full grown adults that are, very, very muscular and strong. And this is just a little kid. Their brain is still developing, their brain is still forming new cells. And to get injured when your brain is developing is even worse. So you could prevent so many problems with these kids by not doing this with dogs, not putting them around dogs. If you want to walk the dog and teach your kid how to walk the dog, do it yourself, or just don't have the dog. Even a little dog like that can really damage the kid. And people will cook these kids to big Great Danes and Mastiffs as well. So that is a quick snippet of one of these parents that keep doing this to the kids. The kid doesn't even look happy about this. It's like, and how good is the kid going to sleep? Is he going to have anxiety? Is he going to worry about falling down again? Yes, he is. And those type of physical and psychological symptoms can lead to epilepsy. So up next is sleep deprivation. Can sleep deprivation trigger a seizure? Yes, it can. Sleep deprivation itself, as well as the other anxiety and nervous systems and autonomic nervous system disorders that come from a loss of sleep, can all trigger a seizure. So, do dogs cause loss of sleep? Yes, they do. Barking, and not just the barking, but people do this. They make an entire life out of sleeping with their dogs and filming it. This one here is called North Yuki Husky. This man and wife sleep with their dogs and then they film it. And they wake up constantly during the night. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. And then they film it. And then they put a little title up. What do our dogs and cats do when we sleep? What's sleeping with huskies like? They call them snuggly. Okay. But they wake up all through the night. Something happens outside. The dogs throw a fit. And they think it's cool. They put this out there and people see it and they think it's great. And then they copy it. These people are influencers. There's no way that this is a good way to sleep. So these are the kind of people that are going to be very likely to have seizures because they have poor sleep. This guy lays in his dog's bed and literally makes out with his dogs. Look at me, I am not sleeping well. Look at my terrible body position. It's not good for you. And it's just plain, get out of here, dude. And it's not just adults sleeping with their dogs. This guy puts his baby in a crib, and then he proceeds to stick the dog in the crib with the baby. The baby's already upset, visibly irritated. Probably just needs a diaper change or, proper handling from his parents. But look what the guy does. He puts a freaking dog in the crib with the baby. Breathing the dander particles, breathing the feces and urine particles is bad enough. But now instead of giving the kid the proper attention from his parents, you're going to screw up the kid's relaxed time by shoving a dog in the crib. And then lying and saying that the baby refuses to sleep without reading a book to the husky. The husky has no idea what a book is. The husky would chew the book up if you were out of the room. So there it is. 2 ways that dog ownership and dog culture promotes epilepsy and other problems that also contribute to epilepsy. In the description, I will put 2 of these studies from the National Health Institute that basically prove what I'm saying. They don't specifically talk about abuse with the use of dogs, but emotional abuse and physical abuse. If a dog is cramming the kid's face into the grass, or if a human is doing it, there's a lot of downstream problems, and we've already studied this. Humans have already done meta-analysis and looked back at kids that were emotionally ignored, physically abused for whatever reason, and they have a much higher incidence of epilepsy and other emotional and physiological problems.